You think you are rational. You believe every choice you make comes from logic, from thought, from intention. But here is what no one tells you, and what most people spend their entire lives never realizing. If you watch this until the end, you will understand the single mechanism that separates people who build extraordinary lives from people who stay exactly where they are, year after year, wondering why nothing ever changes. The human brain is not built for truth. It is built for survival. And in survival mode, the brain does one thing above everything else. It conserves energy. It looks for the fastest path, the easiest answer, the most comfortable option available. Not the right one, not the best one, the fastest one. That is the system running inside you, right now, and it has been running since the day you were born. This is why you open your phone before your eyes are fully open in the morning. This is why you delay the task that matters and replace it with the task that feels easier. This is why you choose the familiar option, even when you already know it is costing you more than it gives. The brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from discomfort at any cost. The problem is that the modern world is not a jungle. The threats you face are not predators. They are deadlines, decisions, and directions you have not yet chosen. And when your brain applies a survival mechanism to a modern life, something breaks. You stop thinking, you start reacting. And then, because the brain is also designed to protect your self-image, you look back at that reaction and call it a decision. You call it logic, you call it choice. But it was none of those things. It was just the path of least resistance, dressed up in the language of reason. Think about the last time you said you were tired. Not the tiredness that comes from physical work, but the kind that settles in at 7 in the evening when you sit down and tell yourself you have done enough for today. Then 3 hours pass. You have scrolled through content you will not remember tomorrow. You have watched things that did not move you forward by a single inch. And when you finally put the phone down, the tiredness is worse than before. Because that was not rest, that was escape. And your brain rewarded you for it, because escape is easy, and the brain loves easy. This is the pattern that traps people. Not one dramatic failure, not one bad decision. It is the accumulation of small surrenders, repeated so consistently that they become invisible. You stop noticing them. They stop feeling like choices. They become your default, and your default becomes your life. The version of yourself you are living right now is not destiny. It is the product of what you have repeatedly chosen when no one was watching, including yourself. Here is the shift that changes everything. The next time you feel the pull, the urge to scroll instead of work, to delay instead of start, to choose comfort instead of progress, do not fight it. Fighting it only depletes the energy you need for something more important. Instead, pause for 1 second and ask yourself one question. Am I choosing this, or am I just reacting? That question is not small. That question is the difference between a person who runs their life and a person whose life runs them. Control does not come from motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. They arrive when conditions are right, and they disappear the moment discomfort appears. What you actually need is not motivation. What you need is a structure that makes the right choice easier than the wrong one. You need to design your environment, your habits, and your defaults so that the brain's tendency toward ease begins working for you instead of against you. Every notification that pulls your attention is not random. It was engineered by teams of people whose single professional purpose is to make that pull as strong as possible. Every platform you use was designed by behavioral scientists who understood, long before you did, exactly how your brain prioritizes easy reward. You are not weak for responding to it. You are human. But understanding the mechanism is the first step to no longer being controlled by it. The people who build lives they respect are not people who feel more motivated than you. They are not people who were born with more discipline or more willpower. They are people who understood, at some point, that the mind is not automatically on your side. The mind is a tool. And like any tool, it works for whoever is holding it. If you are not the one holding it, something else is. An algorithm, an impulse, a habit you formed in a moment of weakness and never consciously chose again. So here is where it begins. Not with a grand resolution, not with a dramatic overhaul of everything you do. It begins with one moment of awareness, one pause between the urge and the action, one question asked honestly, before the brain has time to rationalize the easy path. That pause is where your identity lives. That pause is where real decisions are made. And the more you practice it, the wider it gets, until the space between impulse and action becomes large enough for actual choice to exist. What you repeat becomes who you are, not what you want, not what you intend, not what you say when someone asks about your goals. What you do when you are alone, when it is inconvenient, when no reward is immediately visible. That is what builds the life you will be living 5 years from now. The future version of yourself is not waiting to be discovered. It is being constructed right now, one repeated choice at a time. This is not about perfection. It is not about eliminating every distraction or becoming someone who never loses focus. It is about raising the percentage of moments in which you are the one deciding. Every time you pause and choose consciously, instead of reacting automatically, you are training the brain to make that pause its default. You are rewiring the system from the inside. And the brain, because it is adaptive, because it learns, will begin to follow the new pattern just as reliably as it followed the old one. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply running a program that was written for a different environment, in a different era, for a different set of challenges. The program can be rewritten, not all at once, not without effort, but consistently, deliberately, one decision at a time. The question is not whether you are capable of this. The question is whether you will choose to begin, today, in this moment, with the very next choice you make. Because that is how your life changes. Not by what you wish for, not by what you plan when you are feeling motivated at midnight, by what you repeat, by what becomes automatic, by what you choose when the brain offers you the easy path and you pause long enough to ask, is this who I am becoming? Start today, or stay the same. The choice, for once, is entirely yours.